There is something happening to you right now that you cannot feel. Every night, for approximately 7 hours, your spine is being asked to hold a shape it was never designed to hold. And it complies. Night after night, in silence. You wake up. You feel fine. You assume that means nothing is wrong. That assumption is costing you. Most people think sleep is passive, that the body simply stops, powers down, rests. But the spine never rests. While you drift through unconsciousness, your vertebrae are still load-bearing. Your discs are still under pressure. Your muscles are still firing, some of them contracting for hours, pulling your skeleton into shapes your waking hours would never allow. Sleep is not a pause in the physical story of your body. It is one of the most physically consequential things you do. The human spine is not a rod. It is three curves stacked, counterbalancing, engineered over millions of years into a structure of remarkable precision. These curves distribute mechanical load. They absorb impact. They protect the neural highway connecting your brain to everything else you are. Disrupt those curves and you begin a slow conversation between your body and damage. And damage is a patient speaker. Now consider what happens when you sleep on your stomach. Your head must rotate sharply to one side and stays there for hours. Researchers studying cervical spine mechanics found that facet joints, the small interlocking joints, allowing neck rotation held at extreme angles under sustained pressure, began generating inflammatory markers at measurable rates. Not catastrophic, not immediately painful, but consistent. The body was registering the position as a low-grade threat, and like all threats it cannot escape, it began to adapt around it. Adaptation is not always survival. The spine, when chronically misaligned during sleep, doesn't wait for you to correct it. It begins to remodel. Muscles held, shortened for thousands of hours begin losing their ability to fully lengthen. The opposing muscles, perpetually stretched, begin losing strength. The result is not pain, not at first. The result is asymmetry. And asymmetry in a load-bearing structure is the quiet beginning of something that will eventually become very loud. Go deeper, and the picture becomes stranger. The intervertebral discs, cartilaginous pads between each vertebra, respond to sustained abnormal pressure by shifting their internal fluid. A disc has a gel-like nucleus surrounded by fibrous rings. Under normal load, that nucleus sits centered. Under sustained stomach sleeping pressure, it doesn't. A disc repeatedly pushed off-center, night after night across years, begins developing what researchers describe with clinical restraint as structural vulnerability. The rest of us call it a herniation waiting to happen. Here is what makes this damage remarkable. It accumulates in the one window of time when your conscious defenses are completely offline. When you sit badly at a desk, your body eventually sends discomfort. You shift. You adjust. When you sleep on your stomach, that loop is severed. You feel nothing. You correct nothing. The compression continues precisely when your discs are most metabolically active, most dependent on aligned movement to draw in nutrients and expel waste. Your spine is trying to repair itself, and you are sleeping in a position that interferes with that repair. Every single night. There is a particular kind of damage biology reserves for slow, repeated, seemingly harmless actions. Not the dramatic injury, the erosion. Water on stone doesn't look dangerous. Neither does the way you position your body for 7 hours every night. But stone remembers water, and spines remember sleep. You cannot feel your spine degenerating. The nervous system running through it cannot fully monitor its own housing. The structures protecting it degrade quietly in the dark, in the hours when you are most convinced that nothing is happening to you. By the time you feel it clearly, the conversation between your body and damage has already been going on for years. Most people will read this and change nothing. Not out of laziness, out of something more honest than that. The body builds its comfort in the dark, and comfort, once built into the architecture of sleep itself, becomes one of the most difficult things a human being can surrender. Even when what feels comfortable is quietly doing what damage always does, taking its time.